The stage is set for UFC 323, the final pay-per-view event of the year, held at the iconic T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas on December 6th. This event promises to cap off a thrilling year of MMA action with an electrifying lineup, headlined by two highly anticipated title fights. As fans flock to the venue and tune in from around the globe, UFC 323 delivers a clash of styles, historic stakes, and the potential for groundbreaking moments. The spotlight falls on the bantamweight division, where Merab Dvalishvili will defend his title against Petr Yan in a highly anticipated rematch. Dvalishvili, currently holding the bantamweight belt, enters the octagon with an unparalleled feat on the line. Should he successfully defend his title against Yan for a second time, Dvalishvili will become the first UFC champion in history to defend his belt 4 times in a calendar year. This record-breaking achievement would solidify his place in UFC lore as a dominant force in the bantamweight division. His previous victories in 2025, including dominant wins over Sean O'Malley, Corey Sandhagen, and Umar Nurmagomedov, have cemented his reputation as one of the most relentless competitors in the sport. For Petr Yan, this fight represents an opportunity to regain the bantamweight title he lost in 2021 under controversial circumstances. After a series of setbacks, including losses to Aljamain Sterling and a close defeat to Dvalishvili, Yan has shown signs of resurgence. With a 3-0 record since his last loss to Dvalishvili, Yan's confidence is growing, and he is eager to prove that his time at the top of the bantamweight ranks is far from over. His striking power and experience as a former champion make him a dangerous opponent for Dvalishvili, who will need to withstand his heavy hands and tactical striking. The co-main event features a thrilling flyweight title bout between reigning champion Alexander Pantoja and the up-and-coming challenger Joshua Van. Pantoja, known for his grappling prowess and tactical striking, will defend his title against Van, who has quickly become one of the most exciting fighters in the flyweight division. Van's meteoric rise has been marked by his aggressive striking and ability to overwhelm opponents with his pace and pressure. Pantoja, however, is no stranger to high-level competition, with victories over the likes of Brandon Moreno and Kai Kara-France to secure his place atop the flyweight division. Joshua Van's rise to the title shot has been nothing short of spectacular. In just 2 years, he has gone from a UFC debutant to a legitimate title contender. Van's most recent performances, including a thrilling victory over Brandon Royval, showcased his relentless attack and ability to push the pace for 5 rounds. With a cardio advantage and a striking output that is among the highest in UFC history, Van will look to wear down Pantoja and exploit any openings. However, Pantoja's experience and well-rounded skill set will test Van's durability and ability to execute his game plan under the spotlight of a championship fight. As we look beyond the title fights, UFC 323 also features several exciting undercard matchups that are sure to captivate fans. One of the most intriguing fights on the card is the matchup between Jan Blachowicz and Bogdan Guskov in the light heavyweight division. Blachowicz, a former UFC light heavyweight champion, will look to reassert himself as a top contender after a series of mixed results. At 42 years old, Blachowicz's time at the top is running out, but his experience and powerful striking make him a dangerous opponent for the rising Guskov. Guskov, on the other hand, has been steadily climbing the ranks, and a victory here could launch him into title contention. Brandon Moreno, the former flyweight champion, will face Tatsuro Taira in a highly anticipated clash of styles. Moreno's technical striking and grappling have made him one of the most well-rounded flyweights in UFC history. His loss to Pantoja earlier in the year was a setback, but Moreno has proven his resilience time and again. Taira, a younger fighter with a strong wrestling base, will look to control the fight on the ground and showcase his improving striking skills. This bout will be a true test of Taira's grappling against the veteran experience of Moreno, whose ability to scramble and reverse positions is second to none. In another intriguing matchup, Henry Cejudo will take on the rising star Peyton Talbot in the bantamweight division. Cejudo, a former Olympic gold medalist and UFC double champion, has been one of the most decorated fighters in the history of MMA. However, since his return from retirement, Cejudo has faced some setbacks, and his fight against Talbot presents a significant challenge. Talbot, a young and dynamic striker, will look to capitalize on Cejudo's age and wear him down with pressure. Cejudo's wrestling pedigree will be key to his success in this matchup. But Talbot's size and striking may prove to be too much for the former champion. With so many exciting matchups on the UFC 323 card, it's clear that this event will be one of the most thrilling in recent memory. From the title fights at the top of the card to the underdog stories that are sure to unfold, UFC 323 promises to deliver a night of action-packed MMA that fans won't want to miss. Whether you're a casual viewer or a die-hard fan, this event is sure to provide unforgettable moments that will be talked about for years to come. The Road to Glory, Merab Dvalishvili versus Petr Yan. The UFC 323 main event is a rematch between the reigning bantamweight champion, Merab Dvalishvili, and former champion, Petr Yan. Their first encounter at UFC Fight Night 221 in 2023 was a statement victory for Dvalishvili as he dominated Yan with relentless pressure, a high volume of strikes, and a series of takedowns. Dvalishvili's victory was not just about his physical prowess, but his unyielding pace and determination to impose his will on the fight. With a record of 21-4, the Georgian powerhouse has become one of the most feared fighters in the UFC, and his rise through the bantamweight division has been nothing short of meteoric. Merab Dvalishvili's journey to UFC 323 has been one of resilience and unrelenting work ethic. Initially joining the UFC in 2017, Dvalishvili faced a rocky start to his career with 2 losses. However, since then, he has gone on an astonishing 12-fight win streak, becoming the bantamweight champion in 2024. Along the way, he has faced some of the division's best, including Marlon Moraes, Jose Aldo, Petr Yan, and Henry Cejudo. His win over Yan in 2023 was a masterclass in pace and pressure, with Dvalishvili attempting an astonishing 49 takedowns, landing 11 of them. His cardio, grappling, and striking volume made it impossible for Yan to find his rhythm. At UFC 323, Dvalishvili will defend his title for the 4th time in 2025, a record-setting achievement if successful. This is no ordinary title defense. If Dvalishvili emerges victorious, he will become the first UFC fighter to successfully defend a title 4 times in a single year. This speaks to his level of dominance and consistency, which has been unmatched by any other fighter in UFC history. With victories over top contenders like Sean O'Malley, Corey Sandhagen, and Umar Nurmagomedov, Dvalishvili's reign has been defined by relentless pressure and a style that leaves his opponents exhausted and overwhelmed. For Petr Yan, the rematch is an opportunity for redemption and to reclaim the bantamweight title he once held. The Russian fighter, with a record of 19-5, made history in 2020 when he became the UFC bantamweight champion by defeating former featherweight champion Jose Aldo. However, his reign was short-lived, and he lost the title in his first defense against Aljamain Sterling. After that, Yan's career has been a roller coaster, with highs and lows that have kept fans and analysts guessing about his true potential. His loss to Dvalishvili in 2023 marked a low point in his career, but he has since rebounded with 3 consecutive wins, showing that his title aspirations are far from over. Yan's striking is his greatest weapon. His kickboxing is among the best in the bantamweight division, and his ability to control distance and land heavy punches has made him a fan favorite. However, in the first encounter with Dvalishvili, his striking was neutralized by the Georgian's suffocating pace and wrestling. Yan was unable to cope with Dvalishvili's takedown pressure and relentless forward movement. In UFC 323, Yan will have to find a way to combat this pressure, and his ability to stop the takedowns and land clean shots will be crucial. Although he has shown an ability to recover from setbacks and come back strong, Yan will need to be more tactical and composed in this rematch. The stakes for both fighters could not be higher. For Dvalishvili, a win would cement his legacy as one of the most dominant champions in UFC history. His high-pressure style has left no doubt about his place at the top of the bantamweight division. However, Yan is a former champion with the skills and experience to dethrone Dvalishvili. His striking is dangerous, and he has shown the ability to fight at a championship level. The question remains, can he overcome Dvalishvili's pressure and secure his second bantamweight title reign, or will Dvalishvili's relentless style continue to dominate the division? The rematch promises to be an intriguing clash of styles. Dvalishvili's relentless wrestling and cardio will be tested against Yan's striking prowess and championship experience. Both fighters have the tools to win, but it will be a matter of execution. Can Dvalishvili keep up his nonstop pace and suffocate Yan like he did in their first encounter? Or will Yan's striking and composure allow him to find a path to victory? This high-stakes bantamweight title fight is one that fans will not want to miss. As we look ahead to UFC 323, this matchup sets the tone for an event that will be defined by high-level competition and potential for new champions. With two of the best bantamweights in the world facing off in a rematch with so much on the line, UFC 323 is primed to be one of the most exciting and historic events in recent memory. Alexander Pantoja vs. Joshua Van, the flyweight clash of styles. UFC 323's co-main event is a thrilling flyweight title fight between the current champion Alexander Pantoja and the surging challenger Joshua Van. This matchup is one of the most highly anticipated bouts on the card, featuring a mix of elite grappling, high-paced striking, and a young challenger with a seemingly endless gas tank. Pantoja, the reigning flyweight champion, is a seasoned veteran in the division with a wealth of experience against top-tier competition. However, Joshua Van's meteoric rise in the UFC has turned heads, and his relentless style could be the key to dethroning the champion at UFC 323. Alexandre Pantoja, a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, has been one of the most dominant flyweights in the UFC, with his only loss in the division coming in 2020 against Brandon Moreno. Since then, Pantoja has continued to evolve, securing the flyweight title with an impressive win over Brandon Moreno at UFC 323 earlier this year. His grappling, clinch control, and ability to submit opponents have made him one of the most dangerous submission artists in the division. He is also known for his striking, with a sharp, tactical approach that blends both power and precision. While Pantoja's grappling is often the centerpiece of his success, his striking has developed into a formidable weapon. Pantoja's ability to mix it up on the feet, using both punches and kicks to set up takedowns, has made him a well-rounded fighter. His clinch game is also exceptional, as he is able to control opponents against the cage, wear them down with pressure, and find opportunities to drag the fight to the ground. Pantoja's experience and well-rounded skill set make him one of the most dangerous flyweights in UFC history. However, Joshua Van is no ordinary challenger. The 24-year-old has made a name for himself in the flyweight division with his high output, relentless pressure, and impressive finishing ability. His cardio is one of his most dangerous attributes, as he has been able to maintain an insane pace for all 5 rounds, overwhelming opponents with non-stop striking. Van's striking is explosive, with fast hands and a willingness to trade in the pocket, which could pose a challenge to Pantoja's defense. Van's ability to push the pace could prove to be an advantage, as he will look to keep Pantoja on the back foot and force him into uncomfortable exchanges. Van's rise through the UFC has been nothing short of spectacular. After joining the promotion as a relatively unknown fighter, he quickly ascended to contender status, with notable victories over the likes of Brandon Royval and Bruno Silva. His striking output is among the highest in UFC history, with an average of 8.86 significant strikes landed per minute, setting a new benchmark for activity in the flyweight division. His ability to maintain this pace for 5 rounds is a testament to his conditioning and mental toughness, and it is something that Pantoja will have to contend with in their upcoming title fight. Despite Van's meteoric rise, Pantoja is not an easy opponent to defeat. His experience at the highest level of competition, combined with his technical skill set, makes him a formidable challenge for any fighter in the division. However, Van's relentless pressure and ability to mix up his striking with grappling could be the perfect antidote to Pantoja's style. If Van can keep the fight on the feet and outstrike Pantoja, he may be able to wear the champion down and secure a late finish. On the other hand, if Pantoja can impose his grappling early and take Van to the ground, he will have the opportunity to control the fight and potentially finish it with a submission. The key to this fight will be Pantoja's ability to dictate the pace and keep Van from overwhelming him with his high-output striking. Pantoja's grappling is his greatest weapon, but Van's ability to scramble and keep the fight standing could be his path to victory. This flyweight showdown is a clash of styles, with Pantoja's technical, measured approach pitted against Van's high-pressure, fast-paced game. Both fighters have the tools to win, but it will come down to execution and which fighter can impose their will on the other. For Van, this fight represents the opportunity of a lifetime. A victory at UFC 323 would not only earn him the flyweight title, but also solidify his place as one of the most exciting, up-and-coming stars in the division. Van has been building momentum since his debut, and his confidence is at an all-time high heading into this bout. However, Pantoja's experience, championship pedigree, and well-rounded game make him a tough obstacle for Van to overcome. As the co-main event at UFC 323, this flyweight championship clash will be one of the most thrilling bouts of the night. Both fighters have something to prove, and their contrasting styles promise to deliver an exciting and action-packed fight. Pantoja will look to showcase his elite grappling and control the pace, while Van will try to overwhelm the champion with his relentless striking and unbreakable cardio. In a division known for its fast-paced action and technical precision, this fight could be one of the most memorable in flyweight history. The Rising Stars, Jan Blachowicz versus Bogdan Guskov. As UFC 323 continues, one of the most anticipated undercard bouts features a light heavyweight showdown between former champion Jan Blachowicz and the rising contender Bogdan Guskov. Blachowicz, a seasoned veteran of the sport, will look to return to title contention after a string of mixed results in his recent fights. At 42 years old, Blachowicz's career is nearing its twilight, but his experience, power, and strategic approach to fights make him a dangerous opponent for the up-and-coming Guskov. Guskov, on the other hand, is looking to prove that his time has come and that he belongs among the elite in the 205-pound division. Jan Blachowicz made his mark in the UFC with his ability to stop opponents with his powerful striking and solid grappling defense. His biggest achievement came in 2020 when he defeated Dominic Reyes to win the UFC light heavyweight championship. Blachowicz's championship reign was short-lived, as he lost the belt in 2021 to Glover Teixeira. And despite bouncing back with a win over Alexander Rakic, he's been unable to recapture the same form that brought him to the top. Blachowicz's most recent bout, a decision loss to Israel Adesanya for the interim middleweight title, demonstrated his ability to hold his own against the best in the sport, but questions about his age and his ability to remain competitive in the 205-pound division linger. Despite his age, Blachowicz is still a formidable fighter in the light heavyweight division. His striking is potent, particularly his left hook, which has been the source of many of his finishes in the octagon. Blachowicz also possesses strong takedown defense, which is crucial in a division filled with wrestlers and grapplers looking to control the fight on the ground. His ability to withstand punishment and keep fighting has made him a fan favorite, and his experience fighting at the highest level could give him an edge in this matchup with Guskov. However, at 42 years old, the question remains whether Blachowicz can continue to compete with the younger, more explosive contenders in the light heavyweight division. Bogdan Guskov, a rising star from Eastern Europe, enters UFC 323 with an opportunity to make a statement against a former champion. Guskov has been steadily climbing the ranks in the light heavyweight division, with his most recent victory coming against a top-ranked opponent. Known for his striking and ability to control distance, Guskov has a unique fighting style that incorporates unorthodox angles and powerful punches. His ability to mix in wrestling has also made him a well-rounded threat, and his aggressive approach to fighting makes him a dangerous challenge for any opponent. Guskov's primary weapon is his striking. He has a fluid and unpredictable style that keeps opponents guessing, mixing long-range shots with devastating power. His ability to throw punches from strange angles and maintain an unorthodox rhythm has allowed him to catch opponents off guard. Guskov has also demonstrated a solid ground game, using his wrestling to control positions and tire out his opponents. In this fight with Blachowicz, Guskov will need to rely on his speed and athleticism to overcome Blachowicz's power and experience. If Guskov can keep the fight at range and avoid getting caught by Blachowicz's heavy hands, he could establish himself as a serious contender in the light heavyweight division. This fight presents a crucial crossroads for both fighters. For Blachowicz, a win would put him back on the path to a title shot, while a loss would likely signal the end of his time at the top of the division. For Guskov, a victory would serve as a passing of the torch, as he would not only defeat a former champion, but also prove that he is ready for the biggest challenges in the light heavyweight division. The experience and power of Blachowicz will undoubtedly test Guskov's durability, but if Guskov can impose his fast-paced striking and avoid being overwhelmed by Blachowicz's power, he could solidify his place as one of the top fighters in the 205-pound division. Blachowicz's strategy in this fight will likely revolve around using his experience to break down Guskov's unorthodox style. He will need to control the pace of the fight and close the distance, landing his heavy punches and looking for the knockout. Guskov, however, has the potential to frustrate Blachowicz with his movement, angles, and speed. If he can avoid the powerful strikes of Blachowicz and outwork him over the course of 3 rounds, Guskov may have the opportunity to win the fight on the scorecards. In the end, this light heavyweight showdown is one of the most intriguing matchups at UFC 323. Blachowicz's experience and power will be tested by Guskov's unorthodox striking and fast pace. The winner of this fight will likely move closer to title contention, while the loser will face a tough road ahead in the division. This is a battle of 2 fighters at different stages of their careers, and it promises to be a thrilling clash with high stakes for both men. Brandon Moreno versus Tatsuro Taira, the battle of 2 flyweights. UFC 323 features another exciting matchup in the flyweight division, as former champion Brandon Moreno takes on rising star Tatsuro Taira. This clash between 2 of the most skilled flyweights in the world promises to be a technical affair, as both fighters possess the tools to win in a variety of ways. For Moreno, this fight represents an opportunity to get back into title contention following his loss to Alexandre Pantoja earlier in the year. For Taira, it's a chance to prove he belongs among the elite of the division by taking out a seasoned veteran like Moreno. Brandon Moreno's journey in the UFC has been a roller coaster, with the Mexican fighter constantly improving and adapting to the challenges presented by the flyweight division. After a slow start to his UFC career, Moreno broke through in 2020 with a win over Jussier Formiga, and then followed it up by winning the interim flyweight title against Kai Kara-France. His biggest achievement came in 2021 when he defeated Davison Figueiredo to capture the undisputed flyweight title. Although he lost the belt in a rematch against Figueiredo and then again to Pantoja, Moreno's heart, resiliency, and relentless work ethic have made him one of the most beloved fighters in the UFC. Moreno is known for his well-rounded skill set, which includes a combination of boxing, wrestling, and submissions. His ability to scramble and work his way out of tough positions makes him a difficult opponent to finish, and his cardio is second to none. Moreno's pressure and volume striking have also been key to his success, as he doesn't give his opponents much space to breathe. Against Taira, his experience and ability to adjust to different fight styles will be crucial in securing a victory. Tatsuro Taira, a 25-year-old fighter from Japan, has emerged as one of the most exciting prospects in the flyweight division. With an undefeated record and a well-rounded skill set, Taira is quickly becoming a force to be reckoned with. His striking is sharp, but it's his grappling that stands out. Taira has demonstrated excellent control on the ground, with a strong top game and submission skills that can finish fights quickly. His ability to mix in his striking with his grappling makes him a dangerous opponent for anyone in the division, and he will look to use these skills to take down the veteran Moreno. Taira's takedown defense will likely be tested in this fight, as Moreno is known for his ability to control his opponents and push the pace on the ground. If Taira can keep the fight standing, his striking will have an opportunity to shine, especially with his speed and accuracy. However, if Moreno is able to close the distance and bring the fight to the mat, Taira will have to demonstrate his ability to survive and work back to his feet. This battle of styles is one of the most intriguing matchups of the night, as both fighters have different strengths that they will rely on to claim victory. One of Taira's biggest advantages is his youth and the potential for further growth in his career. At just 25 years old, Taira is still developing, and with each fight, he continues to improve. If Taira is able to defeat Moreno, It would be a huge step in his career, as he would not only secure a win over a former champion, but he would also put himself in the mix for a future title shot. However, this is a significant test for Tyra, as Moreno's experience in high-level competition will likely be a major factor in the fight. Tyra will need to keep his composure and execute his game plan flawlessly if he hopes to upset the veteran. For Moreno, a win over Tyra would put him back on track toward another title shot. After his loss to Pantoja, he will need to prove that he is still a top contender in the flyweight division. Moreno's ability to adapt to his opponents and find success in various phases of the fight has made him a difficult challenge for anyone. And against Tyra, his ability to mix up his striking with his grappling could be the key to victory. If Moreno can neutralize Tyra's ground game and control the pace of the fight, he will have a solid chance of securing the win. This flyweight battle is more than just a contest of skill. It's a fight that could determine the future of the division. With the top of the flyweight rankings dominated by Pantoja and Van, the winner of this fight will likely find themselves in the hunt for a title shot. Moreno's experience and championship pedigree make him a dangerous opponent, but Tyra's rapid rise and potential for growth mean that he could be a future champion in the making. UFC 323 will be a pivotal moment for both men as they look to take their careers to the next level. Henry Cejudo versus Peyton Talbot, the veteran versus the youngster. UFC 323 features an intriguing matchup between two bantamweight fighters, former two-division champion Henry Cejudo and the rising star Peyton Talbot. This bout is a fascinating clash of experience versus potential as Cejudo, one of the most accomplished fighters in MMA history, faces a young and hungry challenger in Talbot, who's looking to make a statement against one of the sport's all-time greats. The stakes are high for both fighters, and the outcome of this bout could have significant implications for the bantamweight division. Henry Cejudo, often referred to as Triple C due to his unprecedented achievement of winning Olympic gold in wrestling and 2 UFC titles in different weight classes, is one of the most accomplished athletes in combat sports history. After retiring in 2020, Cejudo made his return to the UFC in 2023, attempting to reclaim the bantamweight title, only to lose to Aljamain Sterling. Despite the setback, Cejudo's pedigree as a wrestler and his impressive fight IQ have made him a tough opponent for anyone in the division. His blend of striking and wrestling has made him a complete fighter, capable of dictating the pace of a fight in all areas. Cejudo's wrestling background is what makes him stand out from the crowd. As an Olympic gold medalist, his ability to control opponents on the ground is second to none. In his earlier UFC career, Cejudo used his wrestling to great effect, neutralizing the striking of opponents like Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson and TJ Dillashaw. Cejudo's striking has also improved over the years, allowing him to complement his wrestling and create a well-rounded game. However, after his recent losses, the question remains, can he still compete at the highest level against younger, more explosive opponents like Talbot? Peyton Talbot, on the other hand, is a rising prospect in the bantamweight division who is quickly gaining attention for his striking and overall well-rounded game. With a record of 14-1, Talbot's only loss came earlier in his career, but since then, he has been on a tear, showcasing his ability to mix in powerful strikes with a solid grappling game. Talbot is a fighter with incredible athleticism and a dynamic approach to his fights, making him one of the most exciting young talents in the UFC. At just 27 years old, Talbot has the potential to be a future star in the bantamweight division, but he will need to prove himself against a fighter of Cejudo's caliber at UFC 323. Talbot's striking game is where he really shines. Known for his power and explosiveness, Talbot has the ability to end a fight with a single strike. His speed and precision allow him to pick apart opponents at range, and his striking can overwhelm fighters who are unable to handle his pace. However, Talbot's challenge against Cejudo will be to avoid being taken down and controlled on the ground. Cejudo's wrestling is world-class, and if he can close the distance and get Talbot to the mat, the young fighter will face an uphill battle to get back to his feet. One of Talbot's most significant advantages in this fight will be his physical attributes. Standing at 5 feet 9 inches with a 74-inch reach, Talbot has a significant size advantage over the 5 feet 4 inches Cejudo, who has a 64-inch reach. This reach disparity gives Talbot the opportunity to control the striking exchanges from a distance, utilizing his jab and kicks to keep Cejudo at bay. However, Cejudo's wrestling can negate this advantage if he's able to close the distance and get Talbot into the clinch. If Cejudo can impose his will in the clinch in transition to takedowns, Talbot will need to use his scrambling ability to get back to his feet. For Cejudo, this fight represents a crucial crossroads in his career. After retiring at the peak of his powers, his return to the UFC has been met with mixed results. A win against Talbot would solidify Cejudo's place in the bantamweight title picture and perhaps even set up a potential trilogy fight with Aljamain Sterling. However, a loss to Talbot would likely signal the end of Cejudo's run as a top contender, as the bantamweight division is stacked with young talent looking to make their mark. Cejudo's wrestling will be key to his success in this matchup, but he will need to find a way to counter Talbot's striking and avoid getting overwhelmed by his youth and athleticism. For Talbot, this fight is an opportunity to prove that he belongs among the elite of the bantamweight division. A victory over Cejudo would not only secure him a spot in the rankings, but would also signal that he's ready for the title shot. Talbot's ability to mix up his striking and grappling will be crucial in this fight, as he'll need to be well-rounded to avoid getting trapped in Cejudo's world of wrestling. Talbot has been improving rapidly, and this fight could be his chance to take the next step in his career. This bantamweight battle is a true test for both fighters. Cejudo's experience and wrestling pedigree make him a dangerous opponent, but Talbot's striking and physical advantages could prove to be the key to victory. If Cejudo can close the distance and neutralize Talbot's striking with his wrestling, he will have the upper hand. But if Talbot can avoid being taken down and keep the fight standing, his striking will give him a significant advantage. With so much on the line for both fighters, this contest promises to be one of the most exciting matchups at UFC 323. The middleweight showdown, Marvin Vettori versus Bruno Ferreira. The middleweight division heats up at UFC 323 with a pivotal matchup between the Italian powerhouse Marvin Vettori and the rising Brazilian contender Bruno Ferreira. Both fighters are coming into this contest with something to prove. Vettori, a seasoned veteran, is looking to get back into title contention, while Ferreira, a relatively new face in the UFC, is aiming to make a statement and solidify his spot among the top 10 in the middleweight rankings. With contrasting styles and stakes on the line, this bout is sure to deliver fireworks inside the octagon. Marvin Vettori, the Italian Dream, is one of the most experienced fighters in the middleweight division, with a professional record of 27-1. Vettori made his UFC debut in 2016 and has steadily climbed the rankings with his relentless pressure, volume striking, and solid grappling. Vettori's toughness and durability have earned him a reputation as a hard-nosed fighter who can go to war with the best in the division. He has shared the octagon with elite middleweights such as Israel Adesanya, Robert Whittaker, and Jack Hermanson. And while he has come up short in his title attempts, his well-rounded skill set and ability to take a punch make him a constant threat in the division. Vettori's striking game has improved over the years, with his ability to land powerful combinations and utilize his kicks to maintain distance. However, it's his wrestling and pressure that make him particularly dangerous. Vettori excels at closing the distance, pushing forward, and landing strikes in close quarters, where he can use his clinch game to dominate his opponents. His takedown defense has also been one of his strong suits, making it difficult for opponents to control him on the ground. Against Ferreira, Vettori will look to impose his grappling and work his way to dominant positions, where he can wear down his opponent and potentially secure a finish. For Bruno Ferreira, UFC 323 represents the chance of a lifetime. The Brazilian fighter, who holds a professional record of 10-2, is a relative newcomer to the UFC, but has already showcased his knockout power and fast-paced style. Ferreira made his UFC debut in 2023 and quickly made an impression with a brutal knockout victory over Gregory Rodriguez. Known for his explosive strikes and aggressive approach, Ferreira is a dangerous opponent for anyone in the middleweight division. He brings a level of intensity and unpredictability that makes him a tough challenge for more experienced fighters like Vettori. Ferreira's biggest strength lies in his striking. With knockout power in both hands and a willingness to engage in exchanges, Ferreira is a fighter who thrives in high-paced, action-packed bouts. He has the ability to hurt opponents with his strikes, and once he gets his opponents hurt, he doesn't waste time capitalizing on the opportunity. However, Ferreira's aggression can sometimes work against him, as his head-forward style leaves him vulnerable to counters and takedowns. In this matchup against Vettori, Ferreira will need to stay composed and avoid getting overwhelmed by his opponent's grappling. The key to Ferreira's success in this fight will be his ability to control the distance and land clean strikes. Vettori's style relies heavily on his ability to close the distance and impose his pressure. So Ferreira will need to keep the fight at range and use his speed and striking to punish Vettori when he comes forward. If Ferreira can avoid the clinch and takedowns, he will have a significant advantage in the striking exchanges. His power and explosiveness could prove to be a major threat if he can land clean shots on Vettori. For Vettori, the game plan will likely involve closing the distance, using his pressure to overwhelm Ferreira, and looking for opportunities to take the fight to the ground. Vettori's wrestling and grappling are key components of his success, and if he can take Ferreira down and control him, he will be able to negate the Brazilian's striking. Vettori has shown an ability to adapt his strategy mid-fight, and if Ferreira begins to find success on the feet, Vettori will need to adjust by pressing forward and using his clinch to wear Ferreira down. Both fighters have a lot to gain from this matchup. For Vettori, a victory would keep him in the conversation as a title contender, as he continues to prove that he belongs among the top fighters in the middleweight division. With losses to Adesanya and Whitaker on his record, Vettori needs to continue winning if he hopes to get another crack at the championship. For Ferreira, a win over a seasoned veteran like Vettori would propel him into the upper echelon of the division and put him in line for a potential title shot in the future. Ferreira's speed, power, and aggression are qualities that could make him a formidable force in the middleweight ranks. The stakes are high for both fighters, and this middleweight showdown promises to be a thrilling contest. Vettori's experience in grappling will be tested by Ferreira's explosive striking and unrelenting pace. This fight will come down to who can impose their style first. Will Vettori be able to close the distance and control the action with his grappling, or will Ferreira's striking prove to be too much for Vettori to handle? With both men fighting for a chance to move up in the rankings, UFC 323's middleweight bout could have significant ramifications for the future of the division. The women's flyweight clash, Maycee Barber versus Karine Silva. UFC 323 features an exciting matchup in the women's flyweight division as the rising star Maycee Barber takes on the dangerous Brazilian Karine Silva. This fight promises to be a high-stakes affair as both fighters are looking to make a statement in their pursuit of a title shot. Maycee Barber, often regarded as one of the most exciting prospects in women's MMA, is facing a veteran in Silva who is known for her aggressive submission game and ability to finish opponents in the cage. The outcome of this bout could potentially set one of these fighters up for a shot at the flyweight title in the near future. Maycee Barber, also known as The Future, has been a force to reckon with in the UFC's women's flyweight division. With a professional record of 13-4, Barber entered the UFC with great expectations, and though she faced some setbacks early in her career, she has bounced back with impressive wins in her last few outings. Barber's most notable victories include her wins over Roxanne Modafferi and Andrea Lee, which showcased her striking power and evolving fight IQ. While she has yet to capture the flyweight title, her powerful striking, grit, and well-rounded approach have made her one of the most exciting prospects in the division. Barber is primarily known for her striking game. Her ability to close the distance with aggressive combinations and set up powerful strikes has made her a dangerous fighter in the division. She has knockout power, which has earned her a number of finishes inside the cage. Additionally, her cardio and pressure are key components of her success, as she constantly pushes forward and wears down her opponents. However, Barber's grappling has been somewhat of a weakness in her career, as she has shown vulnerability in areas like takedown defense and submission defense. Against Silva, Barber will need to stay composed on the feet and avoid being taken down or caught in submissions. Karine Silva, a Brazilian jiu-jitsu specialist, brings a dangerous submission game to the cage. With a record of 17-4, Silva has proven herself as a well-rounded fighter capable of finishing opponents in multiple ways. Silva's most recent victories, including a submission win over Poliana Botelho at UFC Fight Night, showcased her ability to control opponents on the ground and use her grappling to finish fights. Silva is also known for her pressure and relentless pace, which she uses to force opponents into uncomfortable positions. She has the ability to transition seamlessly between striking and grappling, making her a dynamic and dangerous opponent in the women's flyweight division. Silva's submission game is what sets her apart from other fighters in the division. Her ability to take the fight to the ground and control her opponents with top position has made her a feared submission artist. Silva's aggressiveness on the feet can also catch opponents off guard, as she moves in and out of range with quick, technical strikes. However, Silva's tendency to be aggressive could play into Barber's hands, as her own striking game is powerful enough to make Silva think twice about engaging at close range. Barber's footwork and boxing could give her the edge if the fight stays on the feet. The key to this fight will be which fighter can impose their game plan. For Barber, the strategy will likely involve using her striking to control the distance and avoid getting taken down by Silva. Barber will want to keep the fight standing, where she has the advantage with her power and volume. On the other hand, Silva will look to close the distance, take the fight to the ground, and work her submission game. If Silva can get Barber to the mat, she will have the opportunity to work for a submission finish, a part of the game where Barber has shown vulnerability. Barber will need to avoid being taken down or trapped in a submission if she hopes to secure the victory. For both women, the stakes are high. Barber has been on the verge of a title shot, but has yet to secure a clear path to the top. A victory at UFC 323 would put her right back in the conversation for a flyweight title shot. However, Silva presents a significant obstacle in her journey. A win over a highly ranked opponent like Barber would push Silva to the top of the division, potentially earning her a shot at the flyweight title. With both fighters hungry for success, this matchup promises to deliver fireworks inside the octagon. Barber's striking will be put to the test against Silva's submission game, and both women will need to be on their best form to secure a victory. Silva's ability to mix in her grappling with her striking is what makes her so dangerous. And if she can neutralize Barber's striking with her own pressure, she could take control of the fight. Barber, however, will look to keep the fight at range, where she has the advantage with her knockout power and striking volume. The battle between these two women will be one of contrasts: striking versus grappling, pressure versus distance. As the flyweight division continues to evolve, this fight could play a key role in shaping the future of the weight class. The winner of this fight will not only move closer to a title shot, but will also cement themselves as one of the top contenders in a rapidly evolving division. With both women bringing different strengths to the table, UFC 323's women's flyweight showdown is poised to be a thrilling and action-packed contest. The lightweight excitement: Edson Barboza versus Jalen Turner. One of the most anticipated matchups on the UFC 323 card takes place in the lightweight division, where two dynamic strikers, Edson Barboza and Jalen Turner, will go head-to-head. This bout promises to be a striking clinic, as both fighters are known for their explosive stand-up skills and knockout power. With the lightweight division being one of the most competitive in the UFC, both Barboza and Turner will be looking to prove they belong among the elite fighters in the weight class. This high-energy affair has all the ingredients for a memorable battle inside the octagon. Edson Barboza, a Brazilian kickboxing specialist, is one of the most experienced and dangerous strikers in the lightweight division. With a professional record of 23-11, Barboza has faced some of the best in the sport, including Khabib Nurmagomedov, Justin Gaethje, and Kevin Lee. Known for his brutal leg kicks, spinning attacks, and ability to land highlight reel knockouts, Barboza has built a reputation as one of the most exciting fighters to watch in the UFC. Although he has struggled to reach the top of the lightweight division, Barboza's striking ability makes him a constant threat to anyone in his path. Barboza's game revolves around his striking. His ability to land powerful kicks from all angles, particularly his devastating leg kicks and spinning wheel kicks, has made him a feared fighter on the feet. He has a diverse arsenal of strikes, and his speed and accuracy allow him to control the distance and dictate the pace of the fight. Barboza has also proven to be durable, withstanding some heavy shots in his career while always being able to fire back with his own offense. Against Turner, Barboza will need to maintain his distance and avoid getting caught in exchanges with the younger, longer fighter. His experience and ability to control the fight with his striking will be key in this matchup. Jalen Turner, the Tarantula, is a rising star in the lightweight division with a record of 13-5. Known for his long frame and dangerous striking, Turner has made a name for himself with his ability to finish fights quickly and in devastating fashion. His height, 6 feet 3 inches, and reach, 71 inches, give him a significant advantage over most of his opponents, allowing him to control the distance and pick his shots from a safe range. Turner's striking is fluid and unpredictable, and he possesses knockout power in both hands. He is also a threat on the ground, with a solid grappling game and submission skills that make him a well-rounded threat. Turner's knockout power has been evident in his UFC career, where he has finished opponents with his striking in multiple ways. His ability to mix up his punches with kicks, particularly his knees, has made him a dangerous opponent in the clinch. His long reach and footwork allow him to control his opponents and land clean shots without getting too close. Turner's ground game is also a valuable asset, as he has shown the ability to take opponents down and work for submissions. In this matchup against Barboza, Turner will need to avoid being overwhelmed by Barboza's striking and keep the fight at a range where he can use his height and reach advantage to pick his shots. The key to this fight will be who can impose their game plan first. Barboza will look to close the distance and land his trademark kicks, particularly his powerful leg kicks, that can slow Turner down over time. If Barboza can disrupt Turner's rhythm and keep him on the defensive, he will have the opportunity to take control of the fight. Turner, on the other hand, will aim to keep the fight at range, using his reach and footwork to land clean strikes while avoiding Barboza's power. If Turner can avoid being caught in close exchanges, his striking and reach advantage will give him a significant edge in the fight. For Barboza, this fight represents a chance to prove that he is still a top contender in the lightweight division. Although he has faced setbacks in recent years, his performance against top-tier opponents has shown that he remains a dangerous fighter. A win over Turner would not only keep him relevant in the title picture, but would also showcase his continued ability to compete with the best. For Turner, a victory at UFC 323 would be the biggest win of his career, propelling him into the upper echelons of the lightweight rankings and putting him one step closer to a potential title shot. With both fighters possessing explosive striking and knockout power, this fight promises to be an exciting, back-and-forth affair. Barboza's experience and well-rounded striking will be tested by Turner's long reach, speed, and dynamic attack. If Barboza can land his heavy shots and keep Turner from controlling the distance, he will have the advantage. The rising contenders, Grant Dawson versus Manuel Torres. The lightweight division at UFC 323 continues to shine as two rising contenders, Grant Dawson and Manuel Torres, square off in what promises to be a high-intensity battle. Both fighters have been steadily climbing the ranks, and this contest will serve as a major opportunity for them to showcase their skills on a big stage. With each man having the tools to win in multiple areas, this matchup is one that could steal the show and set one of these contenders on the path to title contention. Grant Dawson, a 29-year-old from Missouri, has quickly become one of the most exciting up-and-coming fighters in the lightweight division. With a professional record of 18-1-1, Dawson is known for his relentless grappling and well-rounded fight game. His submission skills are particularly impressive, with Dawson securing numerous finishes via choke submissions in his UFC career. Additionally, Dawson has shown strong takedown ability and control in the clinch, making him a tough opponent for anyone in the division. His fight IQ and ability to dictate the pace have been key components of his success, and his undefeated record in the UFC so far speaks to his potential as a future contender. Dawson's grappling is where he shines brightest. His ability to secure takedowns and control his opponents on the ground is his primary route to victory. Once on top, Dawson is known for his top control and submission attempts, making him a nightmare for opponents who are unable to defend from their back. His wrestling also allows him to dictate the pace of the fight, pushing opponents against the cage and working for dominant positions. Against Torres, Dawson will look to use his grappling advantage to neutralize the striking threat that Torres poses and wear him down with ground and pound and submission attempts. Manuel Torres, hailing from Mexico, is another exciting young talent in the lightweight division. With a record of 15-2, Torres is known for his striking power and aggressive style inside the octagon. His most recent victories, including a knockout win over Frank Camacho, have showcased his ability to finish fights quickly with his heavy hands. Torres is a dangerous striker who looks to land explosive shots and end the fight early, but his aggressive style can also leave him open to counterattacks and takedowns. His durability and willingness to engage in wild exchanges make him a fan favorite. But against a skilled grappler like Dawson, Torres will need to prove he can defend the takedown and avoid getting controlled on the ground. Torres' striking is his most dangerous weapon, and he has shown the ability to knock out opponents with powerful hooks and combinations. He is also comfortable fighting at close range, where he can land hard shots in the clinch or in brawls. However, his striking game can be a double-edged sword. While it makes him exciting to watch, it also leaves him open to being taken down or controlled if his opponent is able to weather the storm. Against Dawson, Torres will need to balance his aggressive striking with a more measured approach, ensuring he doesn't overcommit and leave himself vulnerable to the takedown. The key to this fight lies in whether Torres can keep it on the feet and avoid getting taken down by Dawson's relentless wrestling. If Torres can maintain distance and land his strikes while staying out of the clinch and off the ground, he will have a significant advantage in the striking exchanges. Dawson, however, will look to close the distance, clinch, and get Torres to the mat, where he can dominate with his superior grappling and submissions. The outcome of this fight will largely depend on whether Torres can defend against Dawson's takedowns and stop the fight from becoming a grappling battle. For Dawson, this fight represents a major opportunity to continue his ascent in the lightweight rankings. A win over Torres would be a significant step toward a potential title shot, showcasing his skills in both the striking and grappling departments. His ability to dictate the pace and control the action on the ground makes him a tough matchup for anyone in the division. And if he can secure a finish or dominant decision, he will solidify his place as one of the top contenders. For Torres, a win over Dawson would be a career-defining moment, as it would not only earn him a victory over an up-and-coming contender, but also put him in the mix for a potential title shot in the future. Torres' striking is explosive and dangerous, and if he can neutralize Dawson's grappling with his own counterattacks and takedown defense, he could prove that he belongs among the elite in the lightweight division. This lightweight clash is a perfect way to close out UFC 323's preliminary card, as both fighters have the tools to win in their respective strengths. The dynamic of grappler versus striker will be on full display,